And so we've been working a lot with pelvic floor and its relationship up into the pelvis. And I want to continue working with this here and there, because there's a couple of reasons. One, it really has given me a different relationship to accessing what's happening at my outer hip, my inner hip, to really work with some of the smaller muscles, and their relationship to the bones and how I hold them in place, and the difference between my right side and my left side. My whole awareness has really deepened in this area. So that's one of the benefits that I found in my own body. And in addition, it's also given me, excuse me while I let somebody in here, um, a real sense of a relationship with the earth, a sense of grounding that, you know, I think is really valuable right now. I think it's always valuable. I just think we're more challenged right now um, with finding that grounding and not getting kind of caught and taken away. So there you go. We're gonna. So I'll get up my model, my pelvic model, and just review for you one more time where some of these landmarks are. Okay. So we've been talking about. We refer to a place called the core of the pelvis. The core of the pelvis. So if we went from pubic bone, the pubic bone, and you go about straight back in your pelvis towards your sacrum, probably top of the tailbone, right in there. The midpoint of that is going to be, we're calling it the pelvic core. This is not the pelvic floor. It gets confusing because floor and core sound so much alike. So, but we're just naming this space. We're just naming the midline of the space between pubic bone and front of the sacrum. And I'm asking you to find that place. And I know it's been difficult. It takes a lot of practice. So that's what we're calling pelvic core. And you're looking for that on your body. And let me just check what Celeste is asking me too. Yeah, I will. That is good. Okay. She's just saying, what is it like when you're sitting down? And Nancy's coming in. Okay. Because when I have my legs out in front of me and I'm sitting on my sit bones, our pelvis, your pelvis, my pelvis, we are different. We have a different tilt of our pelvises. We want to learn so let's go to the pelvic floor. So pelvic floor, we know, goes from the inner pubic bone, right? The inner pubic bones to the sit bones to the tailbone. Those are the bony landmarks of the pelvic floor. Inner pubic bone, inner sit bone, tailbone. And you know what's interesting? We talk about the pelvic floor is like, it's more like a hammock, right? Because let's get rid of those legs so that they're not blocking the view. Because if we know that the pelvic floor is going between I have my fingers on the inside of the pubic bone here to the tailbone to the sit bones, it's not a straight flat surface, right? It's a dome shape. The pelvic floor is a dome. So it rises up in the front to become to the upper inner pelvic pubic bones, right? It has to rise up. And then it also goes to those sit bones, and then it rises up again. So it is shaped, dome-like or hammock-like, or, sometimes Sarah Joy calls it like a canoe shape. Any of those, whatever works for you. All right. The other thing I want to divide the pelvis is, this one's going to be a little easier for your mind. Does that make you feel at ease all of a sudden? Like all of a sudden you're like, exhaling. Is the right and half sides, right? So if we intersect the pelvis, we could go from pubic bone straight back, and we could have the right half and the left half. Okay, that one's pretty easy. I like the easy stuff. Okay, and I need to get some, if any of you are thrift store people and you happen to go to a Goodwill, would you please go through the swimsuit section and give me some swimsuit material? Because I'd like to build the pelvic floor. And I know I think swimming suit material would work good because it's stretchy. So I'll just say that. I need to get to a used store and buy a few different fabrics of swimsuit. But at any rate, different colors, I think it would be good. So we divided it in half. And then what we did was we divided those halves in quadrants. So we said from the inner pubic bone on the right to the inner right sit bone to the perineum. So the perineum is the center of the pelvic floor. And sometimes I'm like, where is my perineum? I'm like, where is it? So that's a question I'll ask you in practice today. Where is it right now? Where is it? Is it tilted forward? Is it going back? Where is it? So anyway, we said inner pubic bone, inner right sit bone to perineum is one of the quadrants, or bordered all along here to the inner sit bone, to the perineum, okay? And one of the back one, as you recall, inner sit bone, tailbone, perineum. That's the back triangle. And I know that the perineum sits lower than the core. So there's space between the pelvic floor, which let's call it the root. So we don't have to get confused with floor and core because they sound so much alike. Let's call the pelvic floor the root. The core of the pelvis, we're looking for the center. And then we know we have a front right root, a back right, a front left, and a back left. Yeah? All right, so now you're like, my God, do I really want to do this yoga class? Now, I've had people say that it's intellectual, that it's, I got to get in my mind to do this, but actually you find the landmarks, but you got to get in your body. I listened to 8 different people last night to find what does embodying your body mean. So like 8 different, people in the field of all sorts of different dancers to anatomists to, all sorts of people. But of course, my favorite really came from Gil Hedley. It was like getting into my body. I spent so much time not being there that all of a sudden he's dissected, over 400 bodies now. That now when I talk to my body, when I say, where is, he could use the example of, a small bone in my foot called the navicular. Where is it? He's like, I get a little twinge right there. So for me to get into this structure, this most amazing structure I have, to be curious about it, to become more intimate with my own body, my whole inner self, and its relationship to the rest of nature that I also feel. How does my body connect to the earth, to a tree, to all sorts of things around me? Because we are, very, very, very intimately connected there. All right, so let's take a seat. You can think of that sometime when you're not busy. What does embody mean to you? You can ponder that one, and you can send me an email and let me know. All right, so let's go ahead, close your eyes. Find your connection to the surface beneath you. And let me remind you that we are not symmetrical. So there are 3 lobes on the left lung, for example, and on the right lung, and 2 on the left. There's 3 little tails of the diaphragm that come down to L1, L2, L3 on the right. There's only 2 on the left. So these are already, that asymmetry is already built into us. Now we can learn a lot by connecting to what is different in our bodies, and this often has to do with just things that have happened to us in our lives. So you might notice how where the weight falls on the right sit bone and how the weight falls onto your left sit bone. And then you lengthen your spine from there. Begin to deepen your breath. Drop into your ujjayi, the soft, easeful ujjayi. And balancing the length of the inhale with the length of your exhale. At the bottom of your next exhale, release any control on your breath. Bring your hands in Anjali Mudra, honoring your curiosity, your willingness, and also the discipline to take the time to come to your mat this morning and to your practice. We'll chant the sound of Om and we'll sing Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Take a deep inhale. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. With your next exhale, bow your head to your heart. Release the hands. And let's come up to standing. We're going to come up to standing. You're going to go over to find your chair or whatever it is. So I like to, if I'm using a chair and I'm having my chair close to my wall, and this is going to depend a lot on the length of your hamstrings.
I'm having trouble hearing you. Is anybody else?
Oh, no, not that again.
I just started.
Yeah, it just started for me too.
Yeah, I'm having trouble too.
Yeah. It happens after we do the chant.
It always says we're going to have to stop chanting. Let me take.
It seems to come back naturally when she moves back from the mic.
Yeah.
So you may or may not need to adjust.
Is it changing right now or not?
Not yet.
Yes.
Oh, it
A
is?
little bit.
It's
Hang on. I'm going to get rid of my web camera. I have to take that out because I only have one plug. Hang on. We'll get that back so that the view will be a little different. Okay. Now, let's see. Can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay. I'll use this other mic. Do you hear it? Let me see if I've got this other mic working.
No, you're mute now, Lynn.
It was better before.
Yeah, there you go. It's okay now.
No,
No, we can't hear you as soon as you've turned on the other mic.
You're completely muted now, Lynn.
On the, okay.
There you are. There you are. Okay.
Okay.
yeah.
Hear me now?
Say something.
Yes?
Yes.
All right. All right. Okay. I won't be able to hear you. I'll try to check in with you. Mainly because I don't think this microphone, last time we used it, it wasn't letting me hear you, which is why I stopped using it. But you can give me the thumbs up that you hear me or shake your head yes. Thumbs up. Cool. All righty. Here we go. Okay. So decide either you've got your blocks down there, you're gonna have we're taking Astapadagustasana, or you've got, one block. Maybe I'll go with one instead of two. It depends what your hamstrings are gonna let you do. So we're gonna stand on the right foot, and we're standing on the right foot. We're gonna take no, I'll stand on my. You can stand on your right, I'll mirror you. So standing on your right, take your left leg up. I'm going to be turned a little out. I'm not directly facing my leg. I'm going to have my body facing out. And you'll take your left hand on your lifted leg. And as you might tilt a little towards this lifted leg. So can you feel the pelvis move away from your lifted leg? And what about the hip crease? We worked on that. So broaden the lifted leg hip crease all the way out towards that outer greater trochanter. And then the right arm, you can either have it overhead or you can have it on your hip. So now, can you bring your felt sense to, on the lifted leg, where's the tailbone? Where's the inner sit bone? This is on your left leg. And where's the perineum? Inner left tailbone, sit bone, and perineum. And you're going to reach from that space towards the core of your pelvis. All right, let's inhale, come up. And let's take your other side. So you'll stand on your left leg. Take your right leg up. You're at an angle. And the standing leg it's not right under you. It's actually a little bit away from you, the standing leg. And when you're ready, you're going to take your right hand out on the leg, taking the pelvis away from your lifted leg, broadening the crease, the hip crease from the pubic bone to the outer greater trochanter on that lifted leg. And then drop your felt sense into your tailbone, your inner right sitting bone, and perineum. Where is that space? And then can you lengthen through the space from there all the way to the midpoint, to the core of the pelvis? It's at a diagonal. So you're going from that back space of the lifted leg, pelvic floor, up towards the core of the pelvis. So that's a bit of a diagonal. It's coming into center. Okay, and then we're gonna come back up. And we'll step that down. Let's take a moment and face your chair for a moment. And you might, if you have a block at the back, you might just take it off. To just bow forward towards the seat of the chair. You can walk the feet back a little so that you're gonna have the hips right over the heels. And depending on your hamstrings, as you bow forward, you might have the forearms on the chair. Shift the weight so the weight is toward the ball of the foot. And then notice from the two sit bones to the perineum, what is that space? Which side is more broad? Which sit bone is farther from the midline of your pelvis than the other one? And then broaden both sit bones apart from each other. So the back root of the pelvic floor, make it wide. And you're narrowing the front root. Back root broadens, back of the pelvic floor broadens, and the front of the pelvic floor narrows. Alrighty, and then we'll shift. If you were on the forearms, you might come up to the hands, and all of us will shift the weight back into the heels, hands on the hips, and we come all the way to standing. Okay, now let's take a strap. Let's see, where did I put mine? Strap, Lynn. Oh, this is good. I misplaced my strap. Hang on. You're gonna take your strap, make a small loop in your strap so that the loop is just big enough to go around your foot. Let's see where my strap, where did my strap go? Did it go? I can talk you through this because I don't want to spend time looking for mine. You're gonna face your chair and you can either put your height back that you were using before. And you're gonna stand on the left leg, take the strap over the right foot, and then put the right foot up there. And then you're gonna bring the tail of the strap around the left outer hip, bring your right hand behind you to grab the strap. So you're gonna, and the left hand's gonna come forward and grab the strap. Sorry, I don't have my strap. Hopefully you've got a sense. You're twisting, you're revolving toward the lifted leg. Turning towards that lifted leg. So I can reach down into the standing leg. And what happens, I'm gonna go from where's the core of the pelvis? Where's that space between pubic bone and the tailbone, the front of the sacrum? Find the center. And then reach from there into the space at the back root. So your right tailbone, sit bone, perineum, that space from core to the back root. Okay, and then we'll release that. And you're going to take the second side. So you're taking your left leg up, or your other leg, whatever leg that was. If you have a strap, it's around your foot, and you're taking the tail to go back behind the standing leg hip so that you can take left arm around to grab the tail, right hand forward to grab the strap. You're turning towards your lifted leg, and you're going to find core of the pelvis and reach into the back root of the pelvic floor on the lifted leg. Okay, and then we'll come back. We'll take the foot off the chair, and we'll take the chair away. And now, can you sit down on the edge of your chair for a moment? And some of us are going to want to have a blanket on the seat of the chair. I know that these chairs, I have long legs, a short torso. So I want to have a little more height there. I'm going to walk my feet wider. I'll turn and face you so you can see better. So I'm going to take the feet out wider than the chair. And then I'm going to bow forward and dangle my arms down. So this is kind of like a squat. But I'm going to just notice as I let the biceps drape over the top of the thighs, releasing the head. And then once again, I'm going to drop my attention into the right and left sides. And I'm going to notice what is the difference in those two sides. Is one side wider and one side narrower at the back of the pelvis? Is one side wider and one side narrower? And here's something I want you to explore. Does it feel like on the wider side that it's wide? What are the fibers like in there? Can you get a sense? Are the fibers on the wider side all linear and nicely laid out? Or does the do you think it's just more lax? Or you might go to the other side and go on the narrower side. Are those fibers more like particle board? They feel a little confusing. So you pick one of the sides. If you feel like the one side is too slack, you might see if you can tone right in there. Or maybe you decide, wow, that one side, I think those fibers are really bound. And with my awareness, I'm going to see if I can broaden. All right. And then we're going to come up from there. Again, we're seated on the edge of the chair and we're going to lean back, bring the right leg up and the little toe side of the right foot to the top of that thigh. I'd like to have my shin as parallel with the ground as possible. Hence, I sat on a blanket on my chair. So if my knee was way up high like this, I would sit higher in order to get this shape a little closer to parallel. And I don't want to let my foot sickle. I'm going to have the right foot to be like it is on the ground, your right foot. And I'm going to slide it'll be your right on your mirror, that side back slightly. So now the foot that's on the floor, that leg is straight ahead. And some of you might, bow a little forward. So I bow a little forward. I can reach on the lifted leg. I can go to that back root, that tailbone, inner sit bone, perineum, and lengthen up towards the core of my pelvis. All right. And then let's come up and let's try the other side. So I'll bring the other leg up, little toe side of the foot at the top of the thigh. I'm going to take that hip back a little on my chair. And for some of you, you might find yourself like you're able to come a little forward and then go to the space between at the inner sit bone on that lifted side, inner sit bone, tailbone, perineum. Can you find the borders of that and also the tissue? And then what happens when you lengthen through space in the pelvis there towards that midline between the pubic bone and the sacrum? So it's a diagonal. All right. And then let's come back up. Okay, good. All right, so let's come up to standing. And we can take our chair out of the way. We don't need it. So we'll move that out of the way. And let's come onto your yoga mat. And let's take a wide stance. Excuse me, small dog. You're gonna go to your right first. So take your left foot, turn it in slightly, and take the front foot and turn it out. Inhale, the arms out wide, and exhale to warrior two. And as I come down, I am reaching from the core to that back root on the back leg. Because I feel when I do that, when I reach from the core of my pelvis to the space between perineum, sit bone, and tailbone on the back leg, I can feel and reach all the way to the ground on that back heel. Okay, and then let's go ahead, turn the palms up to the sky. Inhale, lift both arms. Exhale, release the arms, spin the feet. Take the arms out when you're ready. And exhale, warrior two, second side. So you could go core to the back root. All right, and then let's inhale, lift both arms, make the feet parallel, release your arms, step or hop your feet together. You can face forward towards the top of your mat. Inhale, lift both arms. Exhale, bow forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway. And exhale, downward facing dog. So in downward dog, in your downward dog pose, you can once again go to the space of the back of the pelvic floor, that back root. And see if you can balance the two sides. As far as remembering, there's one side that where the sit bone maybe felt closer to midline, or one side that the sit bone felt farther away. How do you balance those? All right, and then we said front root gets more narrow. Alrighty, and then we're gonna step forward. And then we'll inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands back, Anjali Mudra. Inhale, lift both arms. We exhale, we're taking chair pose, Utkatasana, chair. So sit bones are broad here. Back of the root is broad. But I can still lift from the back root to the core. All right, inhale, straighten the legs. Exhale, hands in front of the heart, Anjali Mudra. And then let's release both arms. And let's take your blocks. Let's step the feet apart for triangle pose. We'll go to your right side first. So back foot turns in, and front foot turns out. And then let's inhale the arms out when you're ready. And exhale, triangle. So you're welcome to take, back hand on the hip. Front hand comes down to the block. Releasing the pelvis away from the front leg. So let's go to the front leg. Let's go to that space on the front leg, on the tailbone, inner sit bone to perineum. And can you lengthen that space toward the core? And then what happens, can you go from the core of your pelvis and reach into the space between on the front left, on the front leg, on the front left root. So you're going from the core. Where's the inner pubic bone, inner tailbone, inner sit bone. This is all, we're working on the front leg right now. You might take the arm up. You might try doing both directions at the same time. Back root to core, core to front root. And then we'll inhale, come up. And let's spin the feet the other way. Inhale, arms out when you're ready. Exhale, triangle pose, second side. So you're on your second side. Pelvis is moving away from the front leg. You can check into that front hip crease and make sure it's broad. Both legs are straight. And then on the front leg, can you go from, sorry, I got confused for a moment, back root to core. So find the front leg, inner sit bone, tailbone, perineum, lengthen that up. What does that do to the way the weight is falling in your hip joint? And you could go from the core to the space between the inner pubic bone, sit bone, perineum. Maybe the arm is already up. And then let's inhale and come up. And let's step the feet back together. Inhale, lift both of your arms up overhead. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. Inhale, lift both arms. And again, hands Anjali Mudra. And we'll release the arms, face the palms forward, close your eyes. You're in mountain pose. And you can just even be curious about how the feet connect to the ground. And how does that reach into the earth? How does that reach come from the back of the pelvis? All right, and then let's release that. Okay, I want to go to do a half moon facing the wall. So it's going to look let me see if I can show you. I'll move these blankets out of the way. And I could use either blocks, or I could use the seat of my chair. And straighten my mat, my little, not like you guys can tell. So if I'm gonna stand on my left leg first, and I'm gonna face the wall over here. And so when I do this, and I'm gonna have the seat of the chair is gonna be for my my hand or forearm or whatever. So I'm gonna come down, lift the back leg, and I can have either my hand on the chair or my forearm on the chair, and I have my other hand on the wall, right hand on the wall. First, what I want to do is reach the pelvis, the core of my pelvis away from my heart, my rib cage. Yeah. And then I'm going to reach from the core of my pelvis to the back root on the lifted leg. Front root, back up towards the core. Okay? Shall we try it? You want to stand on your left leg first? Standing on your left leg. So your left foot is going to be probably 12 inches or so from the wall. Your left foot. Your right hand's going to be on the wall. Left foot's 12 inches from the wall. Right hand is going to be on the wall. And then go ahead and lift the right leg up and bring the left hand to the chair or the left forearm and take the right leg up. And then reach out the ball of the right foot. So you're reaching the core of the pelvis away from. That's right, Lise. Keep going. You got some more room to go. Maybe your wall's going to get in the way there. You might have to step a little away from the wall, a little farther away forward. Yeah, like that. So take the pelvic core away from the heart. Reach, reach, reach. And then take the core of the pelvis and reach it into let's go to the standing leg. Let's go to the standing leg. Take the core of the pelvis to the back left root. So from the core of the pelvis, reach into the space of the standing leg between the sit bone, your tailbone, and your perineum. And take the front root and reach it back up to the core on the standing leg. All right. And lower down. And let's take the second side. I'm going to unplug this mic in case you have a question. So if you have a question, you're welcome to ask it. Just want to make sure you have a chance. I think working on the standing leg is probably easier than the lifted leg because you have the floor to really inform you. You ready for the other side? All right. So you're going to bow forward, take the back leg. Lift up the left leg. Right foot is probably at 12 inches or so from the wall. Forearm or hand is on the chair. And the first thing in half moon is to take the pelvis, the core of the pelvis away from the rib cage. So the pelvis moves away from the rib cage, or you could say the core moves away from the heart. Really reach out the ball of the foot of the lifted leg. There, Lise, that's That's it. That's much better. Yeah, really reaching. And then on the standing leg, you're gonna go from that core to the space between the right tailbone, sit bone, and perineum, that space. Good, and that's it, Jackie. You could take the pelvis away from the heart space more. Yeah, go Jackie, go. Good, left hand's on the wall. Up higher even, Colleen, take the left hand higher up. There you go. And then you could also be reaching from on the standing leg from that front root back to the core. That's it, Colleen, right? What happened there? You feel how that changed? I could see that. Good. And then we'll release that. Could be different things happening on different sides. Do you want to ask a question before I plug this other speaker in? You're doing all right. Go ahead, Lise.
Yeah, I think part of my problem is worry about my arms
Oh,
and
yeah.
not having too much weight. And I'm wondering how far down when you're on the chair with your arm, so your leg is actually going way up above your.
Sure. So you're gonna just adjust to whatever is the right height. You looked good there. You don't have to be on your forearm though. You can be on your straight. You could have a straight arm. Okay. Really think more about the weight being on the standing leg, doing so much more of the work. And then the hand that's on the wall, that's also helping you balance. So we're just using the wall and to help us really explore the ability to turn and what's happening in the legs. Yeah. Thank you, Lise. Okay. Anyone else? All right. I hate to say going, gone. No. Speaker issues. Oh, why are you? Okay, now you hear me. Okay. Goodness gracious. Okay, so now let's go to let's come down to the ground. So I'm going to move my chair out of the way. I don't need that. And I'm going to come down to the floor. Oh, I got to change this view. We're going to take Ardha Matsyendrasana 1 is what we're going to do here. And when we take this pose, we're going to take the right knee down. So I'm going to have my right leg down and my left foot across. This is the challenge side for me. This side, for some reason, always takes me, I find wanting to put all my weight on my right outer hip. So I'm not mirroring you, but I have to balance the weight in the hips. And for some reason, on one side, that is a really different experience for me. So right knee down, left foot across. Okay. And then we're going to take your right hand can be at the outer knee, left hand behind, or maybe it's in the elbow. So first, bring your felt sense to the back of the pelvis on the left. Back of the pelvis on the left, and broaden the back of the pelvis. That's what's so beautiful about this twist is we are widening at the back of the pelvis. On the bent knee side, on the raised leg side, how do I broaden? And I think I used to do this pose, and I used to think it was more about the side I was turning away from. But no, it's about the side I'm turning towards. So broadening all the way, sacrum out to the greater trochanter. And then can you find the core of your pelvis? Remember, between the pubic bone and the front of the sacrum. And can you reach from there into the back left pelvic floor, the back left root from perineum, inner left sit bone, inner tailbone on the left, and I could go to the space between the left pubic bone, left inner sit bone, perineum, and reach up towards the core. Okay. All right, let's come out and let's take the other side. So the left knee is the down knee, the right is coming across. I could either hold the outer right knee with my hand or my elbow, the crease of my elbow, and take the right hand behind. Okay, so balancing the weight in the hips. See, on this side, I don't have to work so much at that. So I don't know, but balance the weight, both hips. And then you're turning towards that lifted leg. You're coming into where's the core of the pelvis? Where's that midline? And what happens when you reach through that space to the back of the pelvic floor? From the right inner sit bone, tailbone, perineum, that entire space, not just part of it. And then if I go from my inner right sit bone, inner pubic bone, the perineum, and I reach back up towards the center. You feel the back. Can the back of the pelvis on your right be broad? Broaden the back of the pelvis on the right. And then we'll come out. Let's take both legs straight. So the legs are wide apart. This is Upavista. And let's bring hands Anjali Mudra. So let's just notice the, can you find the perineum? Can you find the perineum? Where is it? And is it facing forward or backward on you? And can I bring it to be facing, to be neutral, not facing forward and not facing backward? All right, and then I'm gonna release that, hands under the knees, and lift the knees up. Now let's take, some of us are gonna want a block to sit upon for Gomukhasana legs. Some of us will benefit from being up on the block. And if we take, let's make the left leg the bottom leg and the right leg the top. So some of you will need that height of the block. I don't know, some of you maybe don't. Maybe some of you are seated upon the ground. But the right leg is on top and the left leg is on the bottom. I still want the weight balanced, even though I'm revolved here. My pelvis is one's on top. So can you bring your felt sense into the back root of the pelvis, that space between the two sit bones? Broaden across the back. And then find the core of the pelvis and reach from that core into the right back pelvic floor. Now, some of you might be leaning forward slightly, that's fine. But you're gonna go from the core to the back root of the right side. From the core to that space between perineum, inner right sit bone, and inner right tailbone. And if you're not getting a stretch here, then maybe you want to be on the ground. Maybe if you're sitting on a block and you're not getting a stretch in that area, you might want to be seated on the floor. All right, and then we're going to come out of that. We're going to switch sides. So right leg will be the bottom leg, left leg will be the top leg. And then first, I want to balance the weight as best I can, and then broaden at the back. Take the back root a little away from each other, the left and the right. And then let's find the core of the pelvis. And can you reach from that space, from the midpoint between the pubic bone and the front of the sacrum? So from the center, you're reaching out towards the back left pelvic floor, which is bordered by your left inner sit bone, your left tailbone, left side, and the perineum. So from the core, reaching there. I enjoy actually noticing the more smaller, subtler attachments at the back of the greater trochanter. That's one of the areas I feel. So rather than sometimes I'm feeling more in the belly of a particular muscle. But with this, I'm actually feeling some of the smaller fibers a little closer towards that greater trochanter. All right, and then I'm going to come out of that and take the legs wide apart again. One more time, legs wide, Upavista. You could always sit up on a blanket here. And bring the hands one more time into Anjali Mudra. Find the perineum. Can you find neutral? And then let's bring the right hand at midline between the legs and the left hand behind. You're going to be doing a little twist towards your left. So I could reach from that right back root back up to the core. And then I'm going to switch sides. So your left hand comes at midline, right hand behind. I'm trying to keep the perineum on midline, not facing forward, not facing backward. And then as I turn, you're turning towards your right. I'm going to go to the back root, the borders of it, the belly of it, and reach diagonally up towards that core of the pelvis again. That space. Okay, good. And then I'm going to come back to center. Take the hands under the knees, lift the knees up. Take the legs straight out, like Dandasana legs. Give a rub to the knees. All right. And then let's take one of your blankets. We're going to come to pranayama. We're going to take pranayama like we did recently. So I've got one blanket lengthwise on my mat. I'm going to take another blanket to be underneath. That'll be under my head. Grab your strap. This is important, the strap part, because we want to use it so that, hey, there's my strap, for the legs to be able to really relax. So I'm going to take my strap, make a loop in it, put it around my legs and just above the knees, and then I'll just tighten it comfortably. Then you might want a blanket to go over your body so that you'll be warm if it's cool. And then sitting on the floor in front of that one blanket, lie back. So that when you lie down, if you needed to tighten the strap, you can do that. I just want the legs to be able to be in neutral, but relaxed. So the strap, in fact, I'm going to bring my strap up even higher. I'm going to loosen my strap and scoot it up to be below my greater trochanters. So I'm actually going to bring the strap higher. That feels better. So the strap is below the outer hips, and I feel like then I can relax my legs into the strap. But the strap holds the legs in neutral. And then just taking a deep inhale and a long exhale. And then you're going to inhale up left side of the pelvic floor. And exhale out the right side of the pelvic floor. So you'll inhale now right side of pelvic floor, all the way to that core of the pelvis, all the way to the midpoint. And then exhaling left from the midpoint, from the core, out the left pelvic floor. And keep going up the left to the core. down the right. Inhaling right, up the right side pelvic floor to the center of the pelvis and out the left. I'm teaching a class right now. As you breathe, can you bring the felt sense to the diagonal and all the many lines of fascia and that whole inner space? So even as you inhale up through the left, and down through the right, from cell to cell to cell. And then with the next exhale, out the left, releasing any control, just letting go and resting. And then you'll just allow the breath to deepen. And just releasing the strap and making a mindful transition back to sitting. And then bringing your hands in front of your heart. Namaste. You're a little pest, aren't you? Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your attention on what can be kind of like overwhelming. Bye, Celeste. I'm gonna just stop that recording.